Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to begin our our city council meeting. Mr. Clerk, could you please take roll call?
Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Bill Bazey.
Here.
Robert Constant.
Here.
Lisa Hicks Clayton.
Here.
Denise Malinowski Maxwell.
Here.
Ray Muscat.
Here.
Tom Wenzel.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight, I'd like to ask Mary Ann Frank to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Next on the agenda, we have the agenda approval.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the order of business for August 13th, 2019, regular meeting of Dearborn Heights City Council as presented.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdallah. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Bazey?
this item 629, it was not corrected, so I don't know which agenda are we approving.
Okay, do we have an answer to that?
That was sent to us, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was sent, but it's not approved, so we approved this here, we're not approving.
Yeah, we never had any
Adam.
backup. Backup wasn't sent with it.
Okay, well then let's pull it off the agenda and put it on the next one. That's item 629.
29.
Do we agree on that? Until we have backup for it, we can just put it on the next meeting.
Can you allow, if God, you want to speak, or?
Okay, at this time,
I just want to say that the backup is attached, they just put the wrong name on the cover sheet.
Yeah.
If you look at the front page of it, it shows contractor Hard Rock, he just typed in Wade Trim because the top corner said Wade Trim. So you do have the backup.
Yeah, I received your email.
629 still says on here, weight trim.
Yeah,
So what I'm
so
saying-
email after this was sent.
I understand, but it's not on the agenda. It doesn't say here, weight trim on here, and it's not on here. So if we're approving this here, we're approving weight trim to get the check.
then let's just pull it off until it's corrected.
Why not just change it to Hard Rock? We got a lot of construction going on. That's a lot of money to hold for a contract.
Council Chair?
And that's not.
We need to make sure these are correct before they're handed into the clerk's
Council
office.
Chair.
And from now on, if they're not, we will be pulling them.
Council Chair?
Councilman?
I think with what we want to do, the city clerk can make that change in the minutes. Am I correct in saying that?
If you make that change in your motion, we can make the change in a minute.
Hey, Councilwoman Hicks Clayton, would you
I
like to
can amend
change
my
it?
motion to make that change on claim 629 to Hard Rock and not Wade Trim.
Hard Rock Concrete, to be
That is
exact.
correct.
Okay.
And it's included in the backup.
Councilman, you seconded it before, do you second it?
I said.
Councilman Abdullah seconds it again. Any further discussion? Any other discussion on agenda items? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have approval of minutes. This is the minutes from the regular meeting of July 30th, 2019.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we approve the minutes from July 30th, 2019, a regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council as outlined in item 4A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Can I ask everybody to turn off their phones before we continue? Thank you. Okay, next, we have public hearing and comment on agenda items. Please come up to the microphone, limit it to items on this current agenda, and keep it to 2 minutes, please.
Madam Chair, my name's Dana Parrish, 5614 Greenlee Park, and I have a point of order.
Okay?
This regards July 30th, 2019 meeting. At the end of that meeting, our mayor made a comment. I'm not going to say the entire comment, but I'll say the majority of it. I quote, "I really got to get the right to sue this blank." End quote. The point of order has to do with the Dearborn Heights Policy and Procedure Manual, Section 400-00, under Executive Administration Policies and Procedures, Section 407-20, Power and Duties. Section 3, Prohibition of Retaliation, subparagraph B. I quote, "Retaliation prohibited by this policy includes, but is not limited to, retaliating or discriminating against or harassing any employee or any other person because," end quote. And then line item 2, "The employee or person has a file, a complaint, testified, assisted, or participated in an investigation, proceeding, or hearing," unquote. And again, under section 502-23, this is under council, paragraph 2, subparagraph C, and I quote, "All members of the council shall accord the utmost courtesy to each other, to city employees, and to members of the public appearing before the council, and shall refrain at all times from rude and derogatory remarks, reflections as to integrity, abusive comments, and statements as to motives and personalities," unquote. Paragraph 3, I quote, "All elected and appointed officials and employees of the city shall observe the same rules of procedure and decorum applicable to members of the council," unquote. Madam Chair, I think the policy and procedure manual for the city of Dearborn Heights should be enforced. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on agenda items? You have 2 minutes.
There wasn't even an agenda item.
Point of order, please. No.
Suzanne Todd, Academy Street. I look out my window and I see brown grass, but I'm talking to item agenda 615, where $2,200 was
Okay,
spent.
this is not an agenda, it's on,
Oh.
we can't, that's just current claims, it's not. It's for agenda items only, and I apologize.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought
Thank
it was-
you. Okay, this is for agenda items only. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Daniel Bernard. I'm an attorney. I represent Hutch Paving. This is regarding agenda item 9C, the Lewis Manor subdivision paving contract. I first want to thank Chairman Malinowski Maxwell for giving me the opportunity to speak to the City Council in a study session. As I said there, I also want to thank City Attorney Mayaki and Chrissy Laszlo for helping shepherd through a Freedom of Information Act request that got me the documents that I required. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to address you during the study session, to answer any questions you had regarding Hutch Paving's performance on the 2017 paving contract. As you know, Hutch Paving's bid for this item 9C is $188,400 lower than the bid that you approved at the July 9th meeting. And I think we demonstrated tonight that Hutch responded to every single issue that was brought to its attention by the city's engineers, addressed the issue, corrected the issue, did it all under budget and on time, was fully approved and paid, and no claims were ever made against the performance bond or the payment bond. To spend the additional money to get nothing additional is, I think, fiscally irresponsible. And the decision of July 9th awarding the contract to another paving company should be reconsidered at this meeting. But regardless of your decision, and you have the right to decide whatever you want to do, we do appreciate your time. Hutch values its relationship with the city, and we look forward to doing business with the city in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any other public hearing and comment on agenda items? Okay, at this time, we will go on with the meeting. Next, we have fund transfers and current claims. Item
Chair?
6, Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we approve the fund transfers and current claims number 1 through 34, just make sure we get the right number, 1 through 34, as outlined on the agenda for tonight, with the change on number 6, the one that we changed the name.
629.
629 from weight trim to hard rock concrete.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Chair?
Councilman Muscat.
I have one real quick question, and I want to apologize to Mr. Selmy. I was away all weekend and couldn't call you. Didn't get home till late yesterday. On 617, I just want to know what this mail machine standard maintenance is.
Well,
technically that's in the finance department, but water, it's the water, so how we put postage on our bills, our letters that we send out, any type of things like that. So there is a 1-year service agreement, maintenance agreement with that.
Good enough.
And just to expand on that a little bit more, we met today with Pitney Bowes to also look at upgrading some of this equipment as some of this is getting very outdated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
Ladies
Or
first.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you. It's very polite. Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you. My question, I have a couple questions, if you don't mind. 6-1 with Aqua Site. This is the real-time testing. And my question is, and this is very important, of course, is water quality. I get calls frequently on that. There's residents who are concerned, and I agree with them. But the question is that a duplicate service because of what Great Lakes Water Authority offers? Because they do real-time as well, and it's the same properties they're testing for.
It is not a duplicate, but I've actually had some personal discussions with Sue McCormick, who is the president of Great Lakes Water Authority, and it has been in regards to they are contemplating having a contract with AquaSite, and then all the communities that are members of Great Lakes Water Authority would be provided this service for free under that joint contract. So it looks like GLW, whatever the acronym, is taking an interest in this particular company, but it's not duplicated.
As they should. My other question is 6-2 for Director McIntyre. This is court order to clean up, let me see, what I was wanting to know is that charged back to the property owner? Yes? Okay. And then my other question I have, moving on down, is 623, which is the fuel that is charged to Water Department. And I think the council has asked for reports showing the chargebacks to the correct departments based on usage. And I have not seen those reports. I don't know if anybody else has, but I know it's been requested minimally at least 30 days ago.
And if I can speak to that. I've asked the Controller's Office to, when we being the DPW, when we get the fuel, we generate a monthly report of who uses the fuel, what departments, where it's allocated. I've asked that that be included in with invoices from RKA on the fuel cost. So that way you can see the breakdown from there. So we just had this conversation again tonight, so I'll let Linda speak to that.
I did send, I think it was in the May's Financial, a breakdown of all of the inventory counts, which would be the gas, the auto parts and stuff. I'm not sending a June one because it's the one that's being audited, and I don't think I've put the July in, but I'll make myself a note to send everyone the July financials with the report, because that's what I said I would do, would be every month. I just don't want to do June because I'm in the middle of auditing June and prepping the final closing balances.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll get you the July one tomorrow.
Appreciate that, thank you. The last thing I have, Madam Chair.
Okay.
And Councilman Abdullah, thank you, is 633, Corporate Attorney Miyake. I know we were playing phone tag today. Your schedule's about as bad as mine, it looks like. So we weren't able to connect, but I respectfully do ask if you're able to answer the two questions that I had left for you on the voicemail.
Yeah, I think the one was regarding the budget issues.
Yes, and in my notes, that's the Act 345 stuff, which we still have not met on, and I'm hoping we can do, because I was told that we were going to do that as soon as somebody else had returned from vacation, and now it's been almost 2 weeks.
His vacation was canceled unexpectedly, and then last week with the election, I did not think that you would be available. So the idea was to try to schedule something tonight, since all four of us would end up being present.
That would be good, because I think that's long overdue, and that needs to be, we need to work through that. The second thing I had, and just because I'm not an attorney, is there's some billings on here, and my question is it related to the whistleblower case? And if so, I'm trying to understand how that becomes a city incurred liability legally,
city is
because I thought it was personal, right?
The city is a named defendant, and if any of the individual defendants are found liable, the city will also be found automatically liable under the Whistleblowers Protection Act.
Okay, so we're paying legal fees on that.
Right, and that basically was me accepting service and getting it into the process for MMRMA to basically be able to deal with it.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Bazey.
I think he was waiting.
I think Councilman Abdullah was next.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Abdullah was next. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You passed.
So one of the questions I was going to ask was on 6.2, but since Councilwoman Hicks Clayton asked it, so that's gotten answered. But I just wanted to just bring up a little bit of a small statement in regards to 6.1 with Aquasite. At the time, I remember the city bringing that out because of the unfortunate and sad situation in Flint. And so this was an additional, not necessarily filtering system, but precautionary system for our residents. And I remember the cost, I mean, like right here, we got $2,458, which I do know that you would agree with it, of course. But with the cost of $2,458 for all the residents, it's pennies to have an additional precaution. So I'm glad we have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Bazey?
I know I talked about this one a few times already, about the fuel. Okay, we have $13,000, almost $14,000 in fuel. I mean, I understand, I mean, it's being charged to the water department, and I know that some of us council here, we've received numerous calls, pictures, text about city vehicles driven. The city works 4 days a week. There's cars, city cars on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday located. And like I said, you know, I've been texted, there's cars in Livonia, cars in Canton.
I've got them too.
And I don't know why we're paying, I don't know why city vehicles are not being parked. So these are not official business, and that's against the charter. This misuse and abuse of city money or city property. We're putting miles on them, we're wasting fuel, and we're paying for the fuel and the repair, and they're not authorized to be used for personal use. These are not personal vehicles, these are taxpayers' money vehicles. They belong to the residents, not to the individuals. There's family members riding in these vehicles, and, you know, we have an attorney here. I'm sure he will, you know, I don't know, he hasn't addressed that issue with liabilities, you know, with the vehicles, people driving in the vehicles and they're not employees. So I have a problem approving this one. Also, the legal fees, I know Councilwoman Hicks Clayton mentioned it. There's a lot of charges here about personnel matters. I don't know what those are. I know they was not brought in front of us. There's a few $1,000s worth of charges. And even a closed meeting, it was not brought up. So I don't know what's going on here. I know we've seen grievances in the past. And again, the taxpayers are paying for this. And I still have a problem with the charge that we have on here with the veto. The mayor wants to veto something, you know, he should veto, but we should not be paying for it. An attorney that actually is supposed to be representing the city and not the mayor alone. That's all I have.
Madam Chair?
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
I think you have an answer, but I would like to make a statement to what you said, Councilman Bazey. If I may, just tell me when I can do it, Madam Chair, when you recommend. You want me to go ahead?
What'd you say?
I would like to add to what Councilman Bazey said.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and I'm glad you're flagging that, because I had a resident send me pictures, and I forwarded them on, of a city-owned vehicle, and this was on Saturday, August 3rd, around 4 p.m. in Garden City at an AT&T store. And I have the plates, and you have them as well, because I sent them to you. But my concern is the liability. Well, one is a Saturday afternoon, and it's, I mean, I don't know what kind of city business on a Saturday afternoon in Garden City, an AT&T store, but the liability, because this individual had 2 children with him, as well as a female passenger. And so I question that because, you know, I think that is a liability, quite frankly. And I think it's a liability for our taxpayers, and we have to do a better job of making sure that doesn't happen.
Can you forward that on to me, and I will follow up with it? I was not aware of it.
Council Miyake, would you like to comment on that?
I would not recommend that anyone be driving who's not a city employee or contractor in a city vehicle. Yes, there is additional exposure.
Well, how do you feel about them using it on the weekends after hours, not for business purposes?
I would recommend against that as well.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Bazey?
I mean, I've seen this, obviously being in the military for 21 years. Whoever is assigned, let's say you have a motor pool, I mean, in this case, it will be somebody like maybe DPW, maybe the director. All these vehicles, per the charter, obviously, nobody's supposed to be driving these other than official city business. These vehicles should be parked on Thursday, unless for, like I said, not for personal business, but for official business only. But Thursday, you guys only work 4 days a week. These vehicles should be parked, and somebody should be accountable. Okay, car 1 through whatever, they're parked, and nobody's driving them. Monday morning, they can pick it up, but I don't know why these vehicles are still being driven, and if somebody doesn't know that this is being done, then obviously we got a big issue.
Council Chair?
Well, we still have several cars that are not marked.
Council Chair?
Yes.
May I make a suggestion, please?
Councilman Muscat?
That we move on with city business and discuss this when it comes to our turn to speak at the table at the end of the
We can do
meeting,
that.
please.
Can I just address the fuel question
Yes,
there?
go ahead, Director.
The $13,000. Just so you know, that was 7,000 gallons of diesel fuel. So that was not gasoline, that was diesel fuel. 7,000 gallons is what that purchase was for, just so you're informed about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any further
Madam Chair,
discussion?
I do have one more
Councilwoman
question.
Hicks
Director
Clayton?
Selmy, I have a question for you. Item 6.8, and this is Dearborn Tree Service. That I meant, did we go out for bids to use Dearborn Tree Service, and do we have a contract? And if so, I'd like to see the contract, because they're charging us for stumping service.
That is in their bid price. This council
So
recently approved.
why are we being charged for stumping? I mean.
That's an additional service. To
Yeah.
cut
Oh,
trees,
it's
one
additional
function,
okay.
to stump it is another function.
Okay, because I was curious, because some companies do that as part of their fees.
We did go out to bid. The council asked to see the contract before we signed it with them, so if you need a copy,
I would like a copy,
I think
please.
the clerk's office has one. If not, we can find you one.
I will
Okay,
send
thank
a
you.
request. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, at this time, we are voting on fund transfers and current claims. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Councilman Musk and Councilman Bazey is opposed. The ayes have it. Next, we have consideration of bids. This is DPW Director Selmy, request for bids, new roof for the Parkland Park concession building.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with DPW Director John Selmy with requesting the City Council authorize the DPW to go out for bids for a new roof at the concession building at Parkland Park. And monies for this project will be taken from the building maintenance, building repair account as outlined in item 7A.
Second.
Supported by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey?
Okay, so this is the same area as the rest, the $250,000 bathroom that we paid for. So are we excluding that, whoever that company that actually did the work on the bathroom, are we excluding them out of this?
I'm not aware of the work that was done prior, but certainly the council has that prerogative. You know, I just recommend to the council and what you all decide to do with it. So, but I'm unaware of that. Unfortunately, I was not here at that time with those issues.
Yeah, obviously, they came back with a lower bid, but we kept going back, not before, that was before my time, but I've seen probably a third of the $250,000 bathroom come out, you know, when I was on council. So before, I've seen that they did put a low bid, but we kept paying, they kept bringing more invoices. Okay, we need this, we need this. So yeah, just because they come up and do a bid, you know, they got to make sure they do the right job.
If you want to share their name with me in an email, that would be great, so I could look out for that. That'd be helpful for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah.
I know there's been, and it's just in the same area, and I don't know, issue with electrical issue.
With the lights,
there
with
at
the night
same
lights.
park.
Yep.
Yeah, with the night lights.
Yep.
Is that taken care of in terms of safety, obviously, for some of the residents over there? Because I know there's been people peeling with cars on that street,
I can speak to the lights.
Huh?
I can only speak to.
Right,
the
right,
lights.
I realize that, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, so we've tried a couple different things, and Mike's here if you want to get into the detail of that, but. we
No,
tried-
just as long as it's taken care of.
No,
we're good.
we are working on it, and to the best of my knowledge, it's been resolved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Salmi, bid award recommendation. This is for the sewer infrastructure maintenance services.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move council approve the contract for sewer infrastructure maintenance be awarded to Liquid Force Granite Inliner from Romulus, Michigan, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the enclosed agreement for sewer infrastructure maintenance services as outlined in 7B.
Second. Support.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
Next, we have DPW Director Salmi, return of tree contract bid bonds.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to concur with DPW Director John Selmy and approve the refunding of all bid bonds related to tree service contract as outlined in 7C.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next on the agenda is Park and Recreation Director Haddad. That's a bid award recommendation for
Madam
Frank...
Chair, I'm sorry, 7D.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right.
They look the same, that's
They
why.
did. I looked because it said bid bonds. This is return of grass contract bid bonds. The other one was tree
Right.
bid bonds. So, okay, I apologize. So this is for DPW Director Salmi, return of grass contract bid bonds.
All right, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
All right, they do look alike. So with that being said, Madam Chair, I move to concur with Director of Public Works John Selmy, our director, and approve the refunding of all bid bonds related to grass cutting bid submittals as outlined in 7D.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Bazey?
Okay, we mentioned this, I know Mr. Salmi brought this up at the study session, and I understand there was a second wave of contractors that came in and rebid on this, and I know that you mentioned that you want to keep, I don't want to mention names, company names, but the current one that we're using, we're going to extend them just for this year.
To the end of this cutting season, and then we would go out for proposal late fall, early winter, so we would have that in place for next spring.
Okay, so is there a schedule that when you're going to go out for a bid for next year so we can prevent from what happened this year?
Obviously, been a little busy, but I will definitely, as we trend towards fall, that'll get on my to-do list, and definitely, I can provide the council some dates of what I'm thinking to get this done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, this is 7D for return of return of grass contract bid bonds. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have Park and Recreation Director Haddad, bid award recommendation for Frank Swapka Park play structure.
Council Chair. Mr. Abdullah.
Councilman Abdullah?
I move we concur with Parks and Recreation Director Brian Haddad, recommending our council awarding Frank Swapka play structure bid to Miracle Midwest of Holly, Michigan. The cost for the play structure will be $48,674.99, with a possible bid alternate of $5,314 for a combined total of $53,988.
Second.
Support by Councilman Wenzel. Is there any discussion?
Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
Well, two things. First of all, we were given a drawing of this, so for the residents, beautiful, beautiful.
Hold it.
Beautiful escape.
I have a bigger one too.
Yes, put on camera.
I don't know if you guys can see, but
Gas, 50,000. Gas, 50,000.
You like bigger than that?
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair. It's tough.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Then
thank
we
you.
have. Oh, and then we have.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton, you're next. Then we have Bazey, and then we have
Right.
Abdullah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Haddad, I want to say thank you, first of all, because I know when we originally started talking about this, we met with residents. It was in 2017, and residents brought several issues, to our their concerns to us, and I'm glad to see there's some ground being covered to make improvements at Swapka Park, which is by the Richard A. Young Center, including the fencing of the ball diamonds and getting the diamonds in order, and the bleachers, I believe, and now the playscape, because that's been a while, right? 2 years in the making. So thank you for that. My question is, and I do appreciate this, by the way, the photo you shared with us. My question is ADA compliancy. Do you have, I can't tell, is there transfer stations, platforms? And what type, I guess I should ask for the specs. The ground cover that's going to be, because I know it's all in that book that you have, by the way. So the ground cover is really important, because it's one thing I've note, as an educator, I look at ground cover, like Van Houten needs to be improved on, by the way, we talked about that. But also, one thing that the council body did approve, by the way, back in 2015 or 16, and some of you remember, was the platform swing for wheelchair-bound folks.
For Van Houten?
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be at Van Houten, and I know at the time somebody said, oh, it's liability, but I'm going to tell you, I can probably name 5 cities just in southeast Michigan that has this swing. And it was approved by this council body. So my question is, I would really like to see us be more inclusive, because every child deserves to play.
I agree with you, and I will look into that.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair.
Councilman
Okay, thank you for this picture, but I still, as Councilwoman Hicks Clayton mentioned, we didn't see the specifications.
Yes.
And we're gonna obviously, I'm gonna approve it, but I still like to see what the specifications, what type of material, if it's stainless steel, the paint, just for durability, and also the safety, for the equipment they're gonna be using, sharp edges, those sort of things that, I don't know if it's in a proposal. And also the last thing is, when it's installed, who's going to be inspecting it to the duration of the process, and even at the end, before payment, just to make sure that it's fit for our kids?
Well, to go on the first part about the specs and all that, it was all in the bid proposal that was given to you guys. I don't remember when we did that, but I can also get this to you as soon as I can. I did have a family issue last week, and this was, I knew this had to be done, and I just wanted to get it on the agenda. As far as the inspection, I am assuming that Miracle Midwest has their own inspectors, and they'll be able to do it, but also I will talk with the building department and Director Selmy and see if we have our own as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it, because obviously we've had issues with contractors doing the work and city officials or city employees not inspecting something. There's an issue later, then, hey, you guys already paid for this.
Right.
So I'd like to put something in there, somebody from the city, the engineer or somebody, to approve it before payment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, any further, Councilman Abdullah?
So, Director, 2 things. Number 1, can you please give us a little bit of an explanation in regards to the bid alternate of $5,314?
One moment, let me get to it. What was your second question while I'm looking for this?
Well, the second one is just a statement. Adding these 2, although it's not a big deal to me, but I realize with accounting it is, there's a 99-cent difference when you add the 2, so the combined total is wrong. The last 2 numbers should be 0.99 cents.
Okay.
I'll put up the dollar and make it even, but just
There's
throwing it out
any
there.
extra, you got to figure out what to do
No,
with.
penny extra, you gotta give me that back. So, but just for accounting purposes, you may want to correct that. But in it, it said, just to repeat, so that, the cost for the plate structure is $48,674.99, with a possible bid alternate of $5,314 for the combined total, et cetera. I just want to understand that bid alternate of $5,314, what exactly is that?
Okay, on here it says the bid alternate, to excavate an additional 9 inches deep and load and haul the soil off-site is part of it. Supply and install a double-layered geotexture fabric, which that would be under it to try to keep the weeds from coming through, and supply and install 3 inches of depth of pea gravel for
Okay.
drainage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Wenzel.
Okay, in all due respect to Councilwoman Hicks Clayton, it's been more than 2 years we've been waiting for this, like 20 years. And,
I'm not that old.
yeah, I know. Can you tell me have you decided on a location for this yet?
Well, I did go out there with Mike Henniger and Gary Barkoff, and we played tag on where we were going to put it, and we decided to put it behind the pavilion, closer to the river area, because anywhere else in that park, in my opinion, and all of our opinion, was a safety issue with baseballs flying everywhere. With it being out there next to that T-ball diamond, there's really it's very seldom, we'll say, that foul balls go that way. And with it being in right field of one baseball field, unless there's a big lefty hitter out there hitting 400-foot home runs, it's not going to hit anybody. So that was the thought, and if you want to meet out there sometime, I can show you how what the thought behind it is.
Yeah, I'd like to, for sure, but the site you're mentioning, it's about 40 or 50 feet away from the creek.
Yes, it is.
Now, do you plan on putting some 6-foot fencing all around this whole playscape and along the creek for about a couple hundred feet?
Not around the playscape, no. There was a thought about fencing around the river area.
Well, that would be like a no-brainer, 100%. I'm not even gonna, I don't think there's too many questions I have right now, especially that fencing issue. I mean, it's within 5 seconds of a little kid running to the creek from there.
Yes.
And I noticed in the drawing, is this the one right here? This is it?
That's, similar. That's the exact playscape and the exact swing set. But I was thinking of turning the swing set a little bit to face the playscape so it's not as wide.
I noticed that there's no roof, for the kid to get in there in a sunny day to sit up there. I know a lot of the playscapes have them, just about all of them do have like a little plastic roof on them.
Right.
I'd like to see that on there. And the ground cover you're saying is pea stone.
That's under for drainage purposes.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
What's going to be under there, and it's in the specs, is some type of mulch.
Mulch, okay, well, it's by the creek again, here we got mulch. Guess what happens when mulch gets wet and floats away? We waited a long time for this, I don't know, I'd like you to do a study and see how much that neoprene surface would cost for this. It wouldn't be affected by the water. That area back there, another reason is it's marshy. If you've ever walked it, I mean, more than not, it's kind of squishy when you walk out there. I'm not really keen on that location, but I'm concerned about the fencing. I would like a fence from the baseball, hardball field all the way to the creek and down past the t-ball field for this. I mean, this is something, I don't want to have this thing fenced in and yellow caution taped off in a year from now because something happened. The location, I know you talked to someone from the city and then someone from the Dad's Club about it, but I think this is something, we waited this long, we don't have to have it in this fall. It'd be nice to have everything done. We should talk to some residents in the area. I know that the closest bleachers to this are pretty far away. If a parent is watching a baseball game on the hardball field, that's 200 yards away from this playscape. And
but also, I don't want to put it between the two fields.
Yeah, I understand.
Because there's hardballs.
Yeah, I understand that.
So that was my biggest concern.
Did you look into talking to the school district about there's a big open area right behind the school, but by the basketball courts over there?
No, we
There's a huge area over there.
Did not look into that.
That's city property.
I know, but I mean, we could, we've done deals with school property before.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, at this point, we're going to be voting on 7E. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Opposed.
Councilman Wenzel is opposed. Okay, Next item on the agenda is reports from the mayor. This is the annual St. Linus Festival Bike and Blade Parade, Friday, September 6, 2019.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move we concur with the mayor and authorize the permission for the annual St. Linus Festival Bike and Blade Parade on Friday, September 6th, starting at 5 p.m. It's been okayed by both our police chief and our fire chief.
Support.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have under reports from city officials, this is DPW Director Selmy, a 2001 bucket truck.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Director of Public Works, John Selmy, retaining the 2001 bucket truck that is slated to be tuned, I assume that must be turned in as a trade, and they'd like to retain this vehicle as this will give them a backup truck and a chipper. The city council approved the trade at $8,500, and the director's asking that the council approve $8,500 to be paid to Wolverine Freightliner East Side Inc. to retain this vehicle as outlined in item 9A.
Second.
Support by Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
Mr. Salmi, we've had multiple issues with this bucket truck over the last 4 or 5 years. It's cost us a lot of money for repair. And having something as a spare is great if it's a good piece of equipment. But, you know, we're going to maybe one day go take this out and it's not going to work, and here we go with the maintenance costs again.
No, I think all the maintenance is done. The biggest maintenance cost was that the boom was not certifiable anymore, so we cannot use the boom anymore. So basically, we're going to use that for the chipper, and the old chipper that we got, we just replaced with a new chipper and truck. This will give us some redundancy in storm events and things like that.
So
for $8,500, we couldn't rent a truck.
So all you're going to do is just for the chipper?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because the boom's not certified.
All right, thank you. Is the boom going to be removed off of it then?
It's cost prohibitive.
Well,
but they know it's locked out, so we've got it locked out.
I'd like to see at least the hydraulic stripped off of it so they can't use it.
Right.
Because, if it's there, there's a potential for it to be used.
Yeah, well, we've been using it since I've been here, right, without using the bucket itself, because we didn't have a truck.
I'd like to see the hydraulic stripped off of it so they can't be used.
We will come up with a lockout system.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under reports from city officials, is DPW Director Selmy, Vernon Avenue Water Main Replacement Authorization.
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat?
I move council approve the amended D&D water and sewer contract to replace the Vernon Avenue water main from Warren Road to Shields Avenue in the amount of $212,681 as outlined in 9B.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Selmy, Lewis Manor Subdivision paving contract extension.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah?
Execution.
Oh, execution, I'm sorry.
Ma'am, I move that we concur with Director of Public Works, John Selmy, per the council direction, the contractor for Lewis Manor Subdivision Paving Program, Cadillac Asphalt, have provided a performance bond and labor and material bond and liability insurance as outlined in the contract documents. And he is requesting that City Council approve and authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the Lewis Manor Subdivision Paving Program on behalf of the City of Dearborn Heights, and as outlined in item 9C.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat?
We heard from Hutch Paving today, and let me offer them my sincerest apologies if anything was said incorrectly about Hutch Paving, and they will be considered, as far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm here, they'll be considered again.
Okay, any further discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah?
Two things. For Hutch Paving, I mean, it cleared up a lot of things, but I still, with all due respect, I still feel that since some residents caught some of these issues, and even us as people that are not experts in that field, seen some of these issues. I just feel that as a company, there should have been some sort of checks and balances just to make sure things that are obvious to a 70-year-old resident would also be obvious to that company. So I think a little bit more quality control, in my opinion, would probably be in order. I think you did, you explained a lot of things, but I still feel as a company there should have been a little bit stronger quality control, with due respect. But I did want to ask in regards to this, to our counsel, Gary Miyake, have you looked over this contract?
No, I have not.
So I think as a council, before we approve this,
Well, at this point, we have a motion on the table. We have to address that motion first.
But if I may, this is the contract that we use for everything, for water, sewer, roads. So I'm assuming that this has been reviewed from time to time.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Okay. Who's, Councilman Abdullah and Councilwoman Hicks Clayton is opposed. Next item on the agenda, the motion passed. Next item on the agenda is DPW Director Selmy, Swapka Park fence repairs.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Department of Public Works, John Selmy, who has received 3 quotes for various fence repairs at Swapka Park. And attached are the 2 written quotes, and the third was verbal from Star Fence in the amount of $7,500. And it is the recommendation of the City Council, it is his recommendation, to the City Council to award this work to Contractors Fence in the amount of $6,795.90, as outlined in item 9D.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
Got a question for Director John Selmy. Anchor fence on here was, at least from what I looked at, was less.
They were less, but the other company was going to replace bottom rails with bottom rails instead of just doing tie wraps, and which would probably lead to failure a little bit quicker. So it's my recommendation that we spend a little bit more money and do it properly.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you. May I say one thing? I'd like to thank the Building and Maintenance Department because they did step up to the plate and help us get that park in order, so thank you.
Good, thanks. Okay, next we have Fire Chief Brogan, new vehicle lease with Enterprise Fleet Management.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to concur with Fire Chief David Brogan and approve his request to enter the Enterprise Fleet Management Agreement to acquire 1 new vehicle. It is budgeted in the 1920 budget, and the annual cost is $9,893 to come out of capital outlay, as outlined in 9E.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
Will this vehicle, as it's being leased, will it be allowed to be marked with the city seal?
This is going to be it'll have lights and sirens, just like all of our utility vehicles.
Yes, it will.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is Police Chief Voltatorni, request to auction vehicles.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant.
Go ahead.
Councilman Muscat.
Okay.
Sorry.
I move council approve the vehicles outlined in 9F for auction, and proceeds will be for the storage fees and towing. The list is long, so I don't want to mention all the vehicles here, but outlined is in 9F.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey.
Chief, got a question. So these vehicles, who's going to be auctioning them off? Are we going through the same process as other municipalities or the state?
Be auctioned off through Dalton's Towing.
What is it?
Dalton's, our towing service.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Chief Village Attorney, these are all forfeitures, correct?
Correct.
So that money needs to stay in forfeiture account?
Like it's stated in the request, will be returned to the state forfeiture account.
And that, but you can cover the towing and storage fees because that's all part of it, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you for that clarification.
What is the auction? I'm sorry,
When will the auction be?
It's yet to be determined. It'll be posted.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under ordinances and resolutions, Michael P. Sulhaney, Seacrest Wardle, proposed ordinance H-19-07, amendment to Chapter 37, Small Cell Wireless Communications Facility. Lisa, you have it.
Madam Chair, I do have the
Councilwoman
motion,
Hicks
Madam
Clayton.
Chair, from the attorney. Motion reads, motion or move to refer proposed ordinance to Planning Commission for the public hearing and recommendation required under the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. Madam Chair.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
And we need to refer to the planning commission.
That's what she said.
That's what the motion read.
Okay, so
Yes.
Vote.
all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Councilman Abdullah is opposed. Next item on the agenda is comments from council members.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
Number one, I received this communication from a gentleman today about the 19th Ferndale Emergency Vehicle Show. And he told me that he has requested Dearborn Heights to send some of our vehicles, either fire or police or whatnot. And we've been a no-show at this for some time now. And I was just wondering if it's able, we could show force for our fire and police at this emergency vehicle show on Friday, August 16th, 2019, on 9 Mile Road, east of Woodward. It would be nice if possible. It's not a, you have to go or not, it's just a request, and it would be nice to see Dearborn Heights participate in that. And then I have one other thing. It's been 8 months since I wrote an ordinance to get our cars marked. And an ordinance was just finally passed. And I was surprised of the way it was signed. Under protest, because the mayor could not perform his duties as a mayor. I don't know how a seal on a car can stop someone from performing their duties. We have cars that are still not marked 8 months after this body legally passed an ordinance. We have people going around driving unmarked cars, going wherever they want to go, using fuel. I have not yet, and I've said this publicly before, in the 4 years I've been here, ever seen one account that showed the personal miles driven and reported to the IRS. No maintenance reports, no gas receipts, nothing. And that's unheard of in today's day and age. This is what transparency means. You don't want a sign on your car because you're not safe? Get a different job. There's a lot of people out there that have very difficult jobs, unsafe jobs. I did one for 42 years. I could have just quit, but I didn't. Job's got to be done. There's no way that you're unsafe driving a car that's marked with a city seal on it. You can say what you want. And as far as making a vehicle a target for theft, I think it's a deterrent to have a vehicle, a deterrent to robbery and breaking in if it's got a seal of the city of Dearborn Heights on it. This is absurd. You don't want to mark your car? To me and to the residents, it's you're hiding something. Money has been spent time and time again. These are not personal vehicles. These are vehicles granted by the public, by their tax money. And my God, you're going to mark your car, all of them. I don't care if they're going to sit idle, they're going to have a sticker on it according to the ordinance. And I'm going to ask our corporation counsel to make that perfectly clear. This is an ordinance, and a violation of the ordinance, there's problems with it. Am I correct, Council? Bianchi.
Are you correct about what? I'm sorry.
By violating the ordinance, by not marking it, is what can happen with that violation?
A violation of an ordinance could potentially be prosecuted, or a matter could end up going to court.
So I suggest that you make a suggestion that those cars get marked this week. It doesn't take long. We don't have very many left.
I've had discussions with the mayor before regarding this. He's ended up speaking to Mr. Roberts with respect to this because
Hey, it's an ordinance. It's an ordinance.
Testing us.
It's legally.
Hold on. I wrote the ordinance And so I said, if he has a question about my opinion with regard to the ordinance, then he should end up having that considered, and Mr. Roberts will discuss
Then
that with
why are the other vehicles marked but not the mayor's or a few other cars?
that you would have to take up with the mayor. I have not advised him.
Then,
Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
point
I'm
of
going to
order,
ask you,
point of order.
then
At
why
this-
aren't your car marked if all the other ones are marked?
Not advised the mayor not to mark the vehicles.
You advised him not to mark his?
No, I did not advise him not to mark.
Well, I'm asking
I
the
said
mayor.
if he has a question, I'm in a position where I wrote the ordinance. This is where we actually have a potential for an actual conflict of interest, unlike what we've had accusations about. When I write an ordinance, I can't end up saying that the ordinance is invalid. So I basically said, you need to speak to Mr. Roberts and deal with this issue. Mr. Roberts and the mayor had a discussion.
It's been 8 months.
But then
How
you have
long
to
does
raise that issue with-
How long does it take for someone to speak to someone?
But that's, I believe they've spoken. You would have to address that to the mayor or to Mr.
I want those vehicles marked, or quit driving them. Don't park your car in the back of the city hall, jump into another car on Sunday, and not return it till after 8:30 at night on
object to that.
Sunday.
That's not
You
true.
can object what you want. I've seen it, and I took pictures.
of order,
You want them?
Yep.
Okay, we'll give them to you.
Keep order, please.
Okay.
Be civil.
I'm done with my gloves are off now.
Okay.
Okay.
My gloves are off. We've had people park their vehicles at DPW yard, and you know who they are, and you have yet to tell us who they are. We know who they are, but we want you to say it. And they owe the city rent money, like everybody else that had RVs and boats that they got to park at a storage facility. They had to pay, and you have hid behind it.
I have not.
Yes, you have. You know who it is. And you even said yourself at this meeting
Not happening.
that you're not
Councilman?
going to say who it was.
Councilman.
Go look for
Councilman.
it.
Shh. Okay.
You know who it is.
All right, point of order. At this point, we have Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you. And I do, Councilman Muscat, appreciate what you're doing. But I want to say, speak softly and carry a big stick. Okay, we've all heard that before. My question, and this is one of my comments, is it's an ordinance. It's local law, right? Correct? It's
That's a
local law.
question to me, yes.
Okay, we all took an oath of office. We all, as elected officials, part of our oath of office is to uphold all federal, state, and local laws, local ordinances. Therefore, anyone who violates that is elected, that's a violation of oath of office, correct? It is.
He would.
It is.
If
Plain
Well,
outright
I'll tell you
oath
what,
of
that's a
office.
yes or
Okay,
no
point of order here.
So let me finish what I was going to say then. I just want to put that out there. My point that I want to add here is that we've been talking, this council, probably even before you guys were here, which is 2015, have been talking about fleet management, like till we're blue in the face, yet nothing's getting done. I really think enough talk, walk the talk, it needs to get done. Those vehicles need to be fully accounted for. There needs to be a checkout system, a check back in system. You need to know where they're going. The mileage should be logged. It should be reported.
GPS.
Full accountability and transparency.
Okay, Councilman.
And it's a fair thing to do. And it's all about transparency and being accountable, because that is the taxpayers' dollars. That's what we should be doing. Enough talking about this. We've been talking about it, like I said, at least minimally 4, 5, 6 years. This is my 8th year. I can remember we've always talked about this. There's options for this, and I don't know why we're not doing it. And I know you're going to say it's cost prohibitive, but seriously, we need to get it done. And that means getting a task force or a focus group and include your citizens in the conversation, then do it. Okay, the second thing I have for DPW Director Salmi. Hi. Just a suggestion, I don't know if it's feasible, but I see other cities doing it, which is great, where I know you have a street sweeping schedule that goes along or should go along with trash pickup schedule. Other cities have started posting, and it's really cool, a graphic, and it's all color-coded based on the day of the week, and they post it like on their Facebook pages or their website, so residents can go in and actually see with their street and see what's proposed for street sweeping. So I think that's a great idea, if that's something we can do. I don't think it creates too much additional work, but it would be great in communicating with our residents and, of course, follow through, walk the talk on street sweeping schedule.
Can I comment to that?
Yes, sir.
So I have met with a couple different vendors to get a work order management system. So this is a lengthy process. The IT is a little bit challenged here, so I've got to find the right product that's going to work, that's going to, best represent what we want it to use. Can go spend a whole bunch of money on it, and if nobody uses it, garbage in, garbage out, right?
That's fair. And what I would say is check with Garden City, because they just started doing it this week, and see what they're doing and how they did it, because they're a much smaller community with a much smaller budget. So I noticed they're posting that, and it was pretty cool to see that. The only last thing I have, Madam Chair, and I'll be finished, is I still want to call you Chief Gavin. But hey, we had a conversation today, but I think it would be good for the public if you could answer the question I asked you today, because I am getting calls, I know we are, about the quality of the WDHT channel. The videos from our meetings are gargled, people can't hear them, they can't understand what's being said. So if you can please share an update and what it takes to get that done, to fix that problem.
I'm going to let Stan explain.
All right, Stan.
Okay, what was the question again?
The question is about the quality of the product being aired, including council meetings where people can't hear it. It's gargled, they can't make sense of what's being said. You know, and this is for all of our residents that watch it, but I know a lot of our senior citizens watch the videos, and it needs to be a quality where they can actually understand it. So what are we going to do, and how are we going to get it done? What's proposed?
Okay, so in regards to things of like sound, like in, for example, this council meeting, this is a giant open room. As I've said before, we have like 12 different open microphones, so sometimes there's echoing and stuff like that. But somebody did call us last week complaining that there was a sound issue with Huawei. We took that immediately, and I myself made the call to Wide Open West to try to talk to find, because first of all, we don't even know who to contact on something like that. We know our audio is going out in proper format. So if it goes out, say, over Huawei and it sounds distorted, it could be somebody at the hub who thinks that maybe it was too low, so they cranked it up, and then therefore all the other stuff sounds all garbled and such. So when somebody called us last week, I immediately tried to contact Wide Open West. I called the service contact. They told me that they would have to email us the number, and we still have yet to have received any form of information. I can try calling again tomorrow, but until we actually know who to contact, there really isn't anything we can do. On our end, it's going out properly. When it leaves our station, it goes to a hub somewhere. Comcast, Huawei, AT&T, all have different hubs. I know AT&T's is in Dallas. I believe the hub for Comcast is in Southfield. But then again, since Bob Agcrap left, we have no idea who to contact on that, and we can and will find out for these issues. But until then, until they call us back or email us back like they say they were going to, our hands are tied, and we apologize for that. And all we can say is we're trying our best.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you trying, and it's not necessarily the equipment other than the open mics, which I know we talked about that today a little bit too. The equipment issue with the open mics, challenges.
A lot of our equipment is old. We had a gentleman in giving us some estimates, and what he wanted to take it to the Hall of Fame or somewhere.
Some have suggested donating it to the Henry Ford, so, because it's that old.
Thank you.
Councilman Wenzel.
Okay, this could take a few minutes, but us 7 that sit up here, and maybe 8 elected officials, we spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours taking care of other people's requests and complaints and researching things. We probably make, and this is not a lie, probably about $3 an hour for all the time we put in. So I'm going to take a few minutes now to talk about some things that are important to me. First of all, I want to thank Director Salmi he's basically new on the job. He's taking care of business, and everybody appreciates that. He doesn't pass the buck. Congratulations to him. he took care of the Swapka Park issue.
Yes.
Very good.
You're taking care of it.
Along with Director, Parks and Recreation Director Haddad and Assistant Director Kim Constance, they've been doing a fantastic job. Fantastic. Things are really looking up in those two departments right there. And speaking of Swapka Park, Building Maintenance Director Mike Blackburn doing a fantastic job over there. The squeaky gear gets the oil, looks like here. So they're doing a great job. You know, sometimes the south end gets, it gets forgot a little bit, and it's true. I want to make one thing perfectly clear. There's no one in the city of Dearborn Heights that wants that playscape more than me. I voted no on it because I want some other things added to this. I want it to be a quality playscape. I don't want them to throw the south end a bone with just a standard playscape. We've waited 20 years for this. We want the right location. We want the right material. We want everything done the right way. So that's why I voted no on that. And I want to work with the director and the deputy director and go over these, tweak it, fine tune it, and we can make this a really quality playscape. Also at Swapka Park, there's a cell phone antenna. And when I was on the planning commission when the cell phone antenna was installed, and in the contract, it stated that the cell phone provider had to provide and maintain American flag on that tower. And it's been years since there's been a flag on that tower. I want to know what's going on with that. I don't know whose department that is. Whoever's listening to me, take care of it, because we don't have time for a response right now because I'm taking up a lot of time. And I'm an advocate of the veterans. As you know, lately I've been really pushing a lot of things. We have a classic car show at the 342 bar, and it benefits the Michigan Veterans Foundation. And it's August 24th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's also the same day as our firefighters' chili cook-off. I don't know if someone's going to mention that later today or not, but please attend both of those events. Now, I want to congratulate our clerk, who did a fantastic job at this past primary election, flawless. Everything went really well. Good job.
Thank you.
And it was something I was thinking about. The turnout was not as well as we expected. Maybe it was brought to my attention. I talked briefly about this. Maybe we should try to switch these elections to an even year election. It can be done. It'll take a little bit of charter work and such, but we'd get a much bigger turnout if we did it on the even years like with the other major elections. I had a question about the new hookah lounge. Is there a certificate occupancy awarded to that lounge yet?
Yes.
Who approved that?
One of the building officials.
One of the building, who approved that?
What do you mean?
Which one?
What's the person's name that approved that?
I'd have to look, I'm not sure.
Can you look?
Right now? No, I'm
I mean, is even this person, even though after the ordinance that we came up with limiting the amount, awarded them a certificate of occupancy?
We issued a certificate of occupancy for the building. They applied back in November to expand that building, and they indicated, in fact, I gave a copy of that permit to Councilwoman Hicks Clayton tonight. I've answered this question before. They applied for that back in November. They applied for a permit then. They indicated on there that they wanted to open it up as a hookah. That was before the moratorium. There has been some comments that we manipulated the records. That's impossible. Maybe a paper could be scratched out, but the system that we operate under has an audit system, and that's impossible to do that.
How could you issue a certificate of occupancy when the building's not done yet?
The building was inspected by the building department multiple times for different permits that they pulled, and they finalized it. There was some question.
When was it finalized?
Councilman, this might end up in court. We might not want to ask too many more questions.
Yeah. Well, I'm just disappointed. I mean,
understandable.
It's just going, it's coming along. It's got, it looks like it's ready to go, and it's against I mean, 99% of the residents. I mean, we had a study session on an open meeting, and
So I'll answer this much. I had this conversation with Councilwoman Hicks Clayton earlier, and I've had this conversation with Councilman Muscat. He came for clarification after the last meeting. They submitted an application. They did everything that they were supposed to do. They asked for a certificate of occupancy for the building. Their next step, and before they can, and let me just clarify one thing, because there's a lot of conversation about this. They do not have a permit for a patio area. They have a certificate of occupancy to occupy the building as it is. In order for them to have a patio area, it's required by ordinance that they go in front of the Planning Commission to do that. They would have to get approval from the Planning Commission to have a patio there. So as it stands now, they're aware that they can't operate a patio area at that building. The next thing that they have to do, they still haven't obtained a license business license from the clerk's office, and that's something that still has to happen before they would be able to open.
And Madam Chair, may
Okay, I'm going to limit discussion on this.
I'd like you to share, though, because they can't apply for a business license until they get their state license, and they haven't done that. Not for this. And I
Okay, at
checked
this
on it
point, let's
today.
stop the conversation on this for legal reasons.
Okay, yeah.
Let's go on to
that's a
something
different
else.
subject. Like everyone up here, we've had complaints about ordinance violations, and one of the big ones is the lighting. I think what we need to do is we need to give the ordinance department more tools. I mean, if someone has a light and they continually turn it on, and they say, well, I won't turn it on, but it's turned on again and again, we have to have the right to have either they remove that light, or a contractor come in and remove that light. We have to, because it's an issue, and Jack, it's, people, they turn the light off for a few days and then it's on again, or they change the light bulb and it's on again. So I think we have to sit down.
Are you referring to the one that you and I have talked about?
Well, several of them, yeah.
Okay, the one you and I have talked about, the light was corrected. When I went out, I've been out there, and I've had, when animal control officers have been called in on their off shift, one of the things that they do, this is something that started a couple years ago. It was actually a suggestion of Councilman Muscat's for violations that occur after hours. So we keep a list in the ordinance department of things that might potentially be happening when we don't see it. And so if they get called in for an animal call, since they're paid to come in, and they're paid for 4 hours per contract, they keep a list in the truck, and they go to all those problem areas. So I myself went out there on 2 separate occasions, late at night. One was around midnight, and one was around 1:30 in the morning. The light was not on. 2 of my officers have gone out there. One even spoke to the person that you and I have spoken to on a regular basis, and the light wasn't on that night either. So we've actually, we're kind of at a standstill here, because one person's saying that it's been corrected, which I've seen it to be corrected, and then the other person's coming back and saying, like you said, a couple of days later, they're readjusting it and pointing it in a different direction, so.
Yeah, I mean, we need to have a study set and sit down with you, see what you need. I mean, because as far as blight, another issue, I know there's a precedence before where the city has hired a contractor to come in and remove blight, and that's a fact.
Yep.
And
you approved one of them tonight. It was it's been an ongoing issue on, I'm not sure if I can say the street name right. Yeah, I guess I can. It's on Courier. It's already been litigated. It's the public record. And we obtained a court order for that. You approved that tonight on current claims, where it was very costly to mitigate the blight and to remove had some pretty large rodent infestation there. We had to correct that as well.
All right, well, thank you, and that's it.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to say something, too. In regards to what Councilman Muscat said, we did pass an ordinance to mark our city vehicles. I feel that if there is an X on the plate number, that is a vehicle that needs to be marked, including the Ford Fusion that was previously driven by a director, the new Ford Explorer out here, and any other vehicles that have an X on the plate. They're government plates. We need to let everybody know what part of government it belongs to. Councilman Bazey?
I have 3 questions. The first one, I brought this up the last meeting. The house on Gully, I'm not going to say the address, but this is for the Director McIntyre. the house that is infested with mold and bugs. Did somebody go look at that house?
I don't want to say the address either. I have my tablet with me. After we're done, I can look it up. I can stay and look it up for you and tell you what we did with it after that. Unfortunately, I don't remember the address to just speak to it right now.
Yeah, it'd be nice if you can send somebody from the building department to inspect the house. Again, the current tenant left the house, and I know there's going to be litigation between the resident, the renter, and the landlord. So we want to make sure not another renter rents that house with the current condition have the same issue. So I recommend for the building department go inspect the house and give them a CFO to make sure, or not give them a CFO, to make sure that this house is up to code before another resident moves into that house. Again, it's on Gully. The second question, I was called by a few senior citizens that actually they're trying to conserve water because the water rate hike, which is ridiculous. I was told by not one, too few senior citizens. I don't know who can answer that question. They were told that there's a minimum charge. They were trying to conserve water so they don't have to pay a high charge of water bill, but they were hit with a high bill and they were told that there's a minimum usage they were being charged. I've never heard that before anywhere, so I'd like to get a clarification. You know, for the residents who are watching this and also for the residents or the seniors that actually contacted me regarding this concern.
How high is
Anybody want to address that?
It's the same,
$48.
yeah.
There- I'll attempt to address that. There is a minimum charge which was instituted by all the elected officials in order to give a break to seniors, because otherwise it would be a higher amount. And so for those residents who basically use it for cooking and for bathing in these kind of conditions, the fee was set as low, but that is determined by a vote of the council and the recommendation from our consultants.
When was that?
That's how it got instituted as a relief measure.
Okay, well, if there was one, obviously, it was before my time. If that was voted on, well, I'd like to see that. And maybe re-vote on it, because I know we voted for we didn't vote for the water rate hike at this year. So I'd like to see which one you're talking about, Mayor.
Well, there was no increases in anything.
Well, obviously, these residents are seeing, these senior citizens are seeing increase or whatever the low, they got an increase in their water bill, and they were trying to conserve water, and again, they're still charged with a higher rate for the water, even though they're not using as much water, because they're on limited income, and this is ridiculous why they were being charged, a certain rate, even though they're trying to conserve water. So this is something we need to look at, because these guys are on limited income.
Director Selmy here.
I can address some of that real quickly for you. So I reached out to Plant Moran, who sets the rates here. There is a 4-unit minimum. If you use less than 4 units, you get charged for the 4 units, which totals $48 for a 2-month billing period. The thing that people forget about, that the rate is built on, right? There's a commodity base of it, and there's a fixed cost. The fixed cost is for us to operate the system within the city. Right? That's 60% of our costs. That's 60% of how our billing comes from the Great Lakes Water Authority. The other 40% charge is commodity based, which is usage. So if you would like to have a rate discussion and break down how the rates are charged and things like that, it's very common that a lot of municipalities have minimum bills for that purpose to protect. If we went to a 60-40 type bill, that their bill would be, double, triple. So it's actually a saving grace for them, if you will.
Thank you. Third thing, I have one of the senior citizens, again, who's taking care of a disabled sibling who's 80 years old. They brought this up, and they just keep going in circles. Their water was shut off, and I know I don't have the timeline on here. I deleted some of it. But I'd like to have somebody look at this. The current resident for that particular house had to move out of their house, and they're living in a hotel with their disabled 80-year-old sibling because their water was shut off.
We don't shut waters off.
Well, I'd like for somebody to look at this and address it with this resident. I have their phone number. I don't know who can talk to this resident. I don't know what this particular resident is living in a hotel room because their water shut off. So they've been going in circles. I'd like for somebody to look at this because their water is shut off.
There was a pipe broke in the house, and that's why they shut it off. It was shut off
And they
because
have
of...
to make a
Right.
request, and then it would have got shut off. But as a policy, when I first came here, we stopped. We have the right to add it onto the tax roll because I did not want to have, unfortunately, somebody who might have been handicapped or not, elderly and then died without water, and I didn't want that on my conscience. So that has been a policy here as long as I've been. We don't shut the water unless the owner requests it, which on occasion they have done, and then it would get shut off.
This particular person has contacted your office, Mayor. I don't know who they talked to, but they've been going back in circles for weeks. And now, I mean, like I said, they're living in a hotel. They're paying, I mean, obviously they're paying their taxes. So they're taxpayers, they're residents, they're senior citizen. Somebody needs to call that resident to make sure.
Can I have that?
And/or if you
I
can
think it was a
email me
pipe
the
that
address,
busted inside of the home,
Somebody
so
needs
they
to
had
look
to
at
shut
that,
it
make sure
off
that
to
these people
repair.
need to come back to their home.
And if something like that arises, then you can email me that stuff, and I will definitely look into it right away. So instead of letting it linger
It's
to a
not
council
mailed
meeting.
to us. I have not seen this.
Well, they did call your office, Mayor.
Because I handle anyone's request if they have a billing problem. And I haven't heard of anyone, I mean, like I said, we don't
they didn't
shut
come to
off
us.
once we relieve.
Well, they must have went to their own mayor because they said they went to your office, Mayor.
Well, sometimes I will tell you that we've had people come in here that actually live in Dearborn, and sometimes Dearborn people have gone to Dearborn Heights, and I don't know that's this case. It doesn't happen a lot.
Well, I talked to the resident, they went to Fenton, so I think Fenton is in Dearborn Heights, Mayor, so obviously, I
Well,
guess
given
the
this,
director has
I
it.
wish you had called us right
Please,
away.
somebody look at that. This resident needs to be
Okay.
in their home.
Okay.
The last one is, I mentioned to the attorney, Mr. Miyake, we need to look at that ordinance when, obviously, we have the state requires that when you put an ordinance or resolution, it has to be for the whole residents of Dearborn Heights, not for a particular person. So I'd like to see, I haven't seen it yet, I try to research it for somebody double dipping and still an elected official, so I'd like to see that whatever ordinance that was passed
Well,
in the
I'm still not
past.
sure what you're referring to of the council chair. If you could send me an email specifically dealing with that, then I can, and if the council chair says go ahead and do it, then I'll look into what the council chair tells me to do, or the council as a body does.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion here?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight, we heard from the city attorneys about the new Small Wireless Communication Facilities Deployment Act. In the legislature in 2006, AT&T pushed through the big changes to the cable franchising and the rights of cities to charge for the right-of-way through the cities for placement of electronic devices and so forth, cell towers, and now these little boxes that sit on the telephone poles and they buzz, the small wireless communication, the cities have less and less and less rights. There's a state group, ProTech, and a national group, and the cable franchise lobby is very large, and the wireless industry is growing larger and larger, but everyone really needs to take notice of this and push for the rights of cities to regulate what goes on telephone poles and so forth in our neighborhoods and in our homes. That's it.
Any further comments?
Council Chair,
Councilman
two
Wenzel?
real quick things. I mentioned something about even year elections. Not only would it bring more voters out, it'd be a significant cost savings for the city from what I understand, talk to some people. And I failed to acknowledge, I'd like all our veterans to please stand and be recognized, please. Any veterans out there? Councilman Bazey. Councilman Bazey. Thank you. And don't forget to look at our Facebook page, Dearborn Heights Veterans. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to mention that we had our senior picnic the other day, and it was a big success. And we actually unveiled our new Smart Bus, which Deputy Director Constance helped us get. And also to look for the videotape of Ray dancing on stage.
No, thank you.
Turn to stone.
That was a good one.
You want to break your television set, turn it off.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to open it up to public announcements. I'm going to limit it to 5 minutes tonight because we have a council member that's not feeling too well. So to save us some time tonight on public announcements, because we do have a lot of people coming up for public announcements. Thank you.
Good evening. I'd like to, this Thursday is August 15th, which is the due date for the summer taxes, so we're down to the last 2 days. You can pay the summer taxes by returning it in the enclosed envelope with the summer tax bill. Please make sure it's postmarked by August 15th. You can come in person to Dearborn Heights City Hall between, up to this Thursday. Between 8 and 5 o'clock. Please be patient with these last few days. It'll be very busy. My office staff has been working very hard. This is something that has to be very accurate as you're taking in these tax payments. So please be patient when we're down to these last 2 days. After-hour payments with a check can be put into the night deposit box as you come into the front door of City Hall. And you can go to the Dearborn Federal Savings Bank branches in Dearborn Heights. There's one on Warren near Inkster and Telegraph near Dartmouth. You could also go to our website to pay with an e-check. There's a $3 charge, or if you pay with a credit card or debit payment, it's 3% of the bill. So please mark your, come in and pay by Thursday. So with that, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements for the community?
Thank you, council members, Councilman Dave Abdallah, for inviting me to the city council meeting today. My name is Tabitha Kerr, and most of you have heard my daughter's story. For those who haven't, Liliana lost her life on January 20th, 2017. This is when a recalled cafeteria table that was supposed to be removed years prior fell on her while she was attending school. Ever since, we've been working towards yearly school inspections in the state of Michigan under House Bill 4937, sponsored by House Representatives Ryan Berman, Alex Garza, and Gary Eisen, with opposition from the Department of Human Services. I'm here today to share information on how to help ensure our children's safety with this upcoming school year. Parents and guardians, please ask for your school's inspection records. This is where your school's inspection dates, corrections, violations, and the amount of time spent when the inspector was inside your school. Please be aware of your school's surroundings. If you see a potential hazard with a table, flagpole, the roof, bring it to a school staff member's attention. If there is no correction, the school staff member should go and file a complaint with OSHA due to their own safety being at risk. It is also imperative that no student, especially our elementary students, should be able to handle these tables. This table is a 350-pound piece of machinery that is installed inside the wall. Liliana should have been enough proof that when these tables are not properly maintained, these tables can and they will fall. However, in Michigan, since Liliana's death, there have been 2 reported cases where poorly secured tables have fallen on our children. It is avoidable, it is unacceptable. Due to the opposition from the Department of Human Services, we created lilianaslaw.com. The menu on top of the homepage is where you'll be able to sign the petition online with support for yearly school inspections. You can follow Liliana's Law on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Our children should not have to worry about our school's infrastructure. As parents, guardians, educators, we need to be diligent with our children's safety. Thank you again, Councilmember David Abdallah, the Dearborn Heights City Council of Dearborn Heights, and the residents for giving me this opportunity to share today. I brought petitions to pass out for those who are interested. I wish you all well with this upcoming school year. Thank you.
Can I ask you a quick question, ma'am?
Where are you?
Right here, Mayor. We have 2 state representatives and a state senator. Have Joel Jones and Lombardi both signed on and supporting the bill or not?
I've written to all 101 representatives in Michigan.
There's 110.
Yes, sorry, 110. They are not sponsors, but there will be an opportunity where other sponsors can sign on board once it gets onto the House Education.
I will on behalf call each of the 3 of them, asking them to hopefully become sponsors and support the bill.
Well, thank you. I would appreciate that.
Councilman Abdallah?
Just, if you don't mind, take a little moment of silence just for the soul of the young girl.
Sorry, Liliana.
Sorry for your loss. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks
Would
Clayton.
you please give me a minute of your time afterwards, because I can help you with the senator's office, okay?
Most certainly.
Thank you.
Also, Madam Chair, I just want to point out, I commend you for this. You've been taking on this fight by yourself, from what I understand. And I know it takes a lot of energy, and I know, I'm sorry if I could just say, money's been tight right now because of that.
Yes, I've been spending probably at least $5,000 alone on stamps, stickers. You know. But yeah, I've been getting a lot of help. My friends Angie, Gina, the office at Kerr Albert Post Office. My friend Fran, she runs a nonprofit, Tires and Treads. She's given me contacts where they can help me with costs with stamps as well.
But as I mentioned, your friend, I mean, we got to get, obviously, people higher up at the state and the county level. I know we have our county commissioner here, and I'm sure a lot of them, including us, would be more than happy to do whatever we can to help you with your cause.
It's appreciated. I'm always open for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're still on community announcements.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Stay away from politics because I want my blood pressure to go up. So no complaints. It's actually on a positive note. I live in the city of Dearborn Heights. I was raised here. My sisters and I own a small and operate a small business. It's called Runaway Beauty Supply, and we want to give back to the community. That being said, September 1st, we're doing small backpack drive giveaway. We're giving away 200 backpacks. We're going to have live performance, a DJ, music, food. It's going to be on a Sunday between 3 and 7. Basically, we don't have flyers right now. Well, we're working on the flyers right now because we're working on some sponsors. We wanted to give back to the community by doing this little event. So come on out, get some food, listen to some music. If you have some kids, bring them. We'll give away some backpacks. I have DJ Ice here, and he has a little story. I met him about a month ago, and I met up with one of my friends, Danielle, and she works with the youth in the city of Detroit.
September 1st.
And she was like, hey, I have this guy I want you to meet. His name is DJ Ice. And I'm like, I'm not a party guy. I don't party and go out. So when she said DJ, I'm like, okay, DJ. But this guy is basically trying to build the gap between the youth and law enforcement using his music. So he's gonna be there. I wanted him just to talk about what he's doing, because I think basically our youth right now is, music is really, they like dancing, they like listening to music. It's really a thing now. So I'm gonna have Daryl Banks get up and talk about what he's doing, just to empower the youth.
Thank you.
We'll just speak briefly on just what I do alone for the city of Detroit. I just recently started a nonprofit organization about 2 years ago. It's called YMIT, Young Minds in Transition School Tour. And what that school tour does for the state of Michigan, we go into the local schools, middle schools, and high schools, and we talk to the kids, the people that look up to us. I have a following of about almost 10,000 followers on Instagram. And these kids, every day, they look up to us. They look at us on Instagram, what we do, how we move, whether they listen to music, come to our events. But how could I create something to where I'm giving back to my community? And that's telling my story as far as what I did. Growing up in the city of Detroit and learning and going to school, I graduated from Mumford High School and just recently graduated from Wayne State University with my bachelor's degree. So with the position that I'm in as a DJ, well-known DJ, I want to give back to my community as far as influencing my people that's looking up to me and also giving back. So with that school tour, hopefully we could branch off to the school district of Dearborn Heights and spread out, because right now we're at about 100 to 200 schools and we go to, giving the information to these kids, whether it's learning how to open up a bank account, whether it's learning how to fill out a FAFSA form, whether it's learning how to fill out to get into college, or whether to start a business or their own. So that's what I'm bringing to the table with linking up with SAFE and also linking up with the Runway Beauty Supply, giving back to the community. So I definitely want you guys to come out. September 1st.
Elected officials, since you're our elected officials, we want you to come out and just show support to the community. So I know you guys.
What time is it again?
It's from 3 to 7.
3 and 7?
Yep.
Between 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock. It's PM. It's on a Sunday.
The date?
It's going to be inside the plaza.
It's September 1st.
We're outside.
Inside the store?
Exactly. Well, not inside the store. Basically, we're taking
In the plaza.
The whole strip of the parking lot.
So 8215 North Telegraph. It's between an Arbor Trail and Joy Road.
Definitely want you guys to come out. I appreciate it.
On the west side of the street.
Yeah, it's on the west side of the street.
Bouncy houses, food, drinks, and music, and then 200.
September
backpacking
1st.
weekend. So come on out. Thank you.
Did they get a permit?
Okay, any more public announcements?
I want to
And we
thank
ask
the
you to keep it to
council
5
and
minutes.
the mayor for everything you guys have done. Also, Mr. Haddad there, he's been working pretty diligently, just coming back from his family issues. I want to thank you personally for what you've done. Mr. Salmi, thank you. The Dad's Club is doing registrations for baseball for fall, also for the cheerleading, and also flag football. So it's a it's not a full-on impact football. It's flag football. So if you guys have little ones out there, you want to register and sign up, bring them on out to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where can they register at?
At the rec center, Richard A. Young Rec Center. You can register there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I made it. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. As you heard Councilman Wenzel mention earlier, Saturday, August 24th is the Firefighters Chili Cook-Off. This is the 27th annual cook-off. So it's a great event. If you've never been, I really encourage you to come out. It's at Parkland Park. They start around noon. The chili judging will be around 2 o'clock. Like I said, Saturday the 24th. We've done it a lot of times on Upper Parkland Park, and this will be the third year in a row we're in Lower Parkland Park. So if you drive by, don't see it, you got to drive kind of back into the park so you don't miss it. But
Deep in the woods.
Deep in the woods. Yeah, but it's a really great time. Great for kids. Great. The chili's really good. There's lots of other food besides chili. There'll be bounce houses. The helicopter's going to come. Tons of raffles, tons of prizes, and like I said, really good food. Come out and meet all your firemen, and we'll have the new ladder truck will be there, and so it's just a real good event. So hopefully we can see you guys there.
Thank you. Any more public announcements?
Mine will be short. I've had enough airtime, but I would just like to, I'd like to thank one of our water supervisors who came concerned about one of our residents who, elderly residents that we've been working with on that sewer project that we recently completed, and she's been very particular in how she wanted things put back. And we were out there today to make the corrections, and we couldn't get a hold of her. Her mailbox was full, and her car was in the garage. She lives alone, she's elderly. And so he was very concerned. He brought it to my attention. We reached out to the fire department. They went over there to go do a welfare check. As they were about ready to go into the home, she pulled up. A friend had taken her to the hospital. So she's in good condition, but I really want to take a moment to thank the fire department and one of our water supervisors. So thank you.
Thank you. Any more public announcements?
Good evening. Diane Webb, your county commissioner. Great to see all of you again. I just wanted to say that in the past several weeks that, I haven't been here. I've had a representative here to keep up on everything. But I did have the opportunity to acknowledge that you've hired a couple of really great, outstanding people, and I just wanted to say congratulations to you for the hiring of John Selmy. I worked with him in Redford. He was phenomenal there. I know he's going to be phenomenal here. And Director Haddad is also a great addition to your team. We met for 30-minute lunch that turned into an hour lunch, but we didn't meet for lunch, really. We didn't even eat. We just talked business that was supposed to be lunch. And we talked about doing the things in the parks with the Wayne County Parks Millage funding. I think he's really got a lot of great ideas, and he's going to be just a great addition to your team. So I wanted to congratulate you both on those moves. I'm glad to see that because it makes my life easier also, because I work with your department heads on things that people call, a lot of times people don't know whether it's a county issue or a city issue. So it really helps me to have good working relationships with all of your directors, and every one of them is outstanding. So kudos to all of you. And then I just wanted to say, Mayor, you and I have been in discussion as it relates to your Veterans Memorial, and I also had the opportunity to talk to Councilman Wenzel because of his passion for veterans that we share. And the Master Gardeners did come by and are willing to donate their services on your behalf to beautify the Veterans Memorial out in front.
And there's a resident here who's been very instrumental. I don't know if the two of you have met, but...
Yes, we have. Oh, wonderful.
But kudos
Fantastic.
are deserved of him also.
Oh, well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Ed Jackson.
Yeah. And Jackson. Well, we appreciate it. It's a team effort, and it's great that we're all looking out to show those veterans the respect that they deserve. So appreciate that. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Sure. Hang on. Can you put a good word in to get Beach Daily at the golf course cleaned up? Please.
Beach Daily between Warren and Ann Arbor Trail.
Please.
When you
Please.
say cleaned up,
They need to strip that all out, is what they really
is it
need.
weeds? The weeds and the grass need to be
That needs to be stripped out. That's been called on.
Calling it in
And they
every
get,
year.
people call on it, and people call on it. That needs to be stripped out and get rid of, really.
So the grass and the weeds and stuff is overgrown on the golf course side?
Between the road and the golf course.
Our side.
Okay, I just need I believe you, I just need a specific, and it sounds like Lee is on it. He has already reported it to the 188 road crew.
Yeah.
You have two numbers there.
Those are the service order requests.
Yes, and the road is one, and then the forestry is for the weeds on both sides of the road.
Absolutely, I will definitely follow up on
Also
this.
Warren Avenue, west of Ann Arbor Trail. That little dip there by Heights,
Warren Avenue, east.
Ann Arbor Trail.
By Heights.
I'm sorry, west of Ann Arbor Trail.
Oh.
Yes, west.
Must be between Telegraph.
West of Ann Arbor Trail.
See, you should have sat down earlier.
No, that's exactly what I'm here for. No, you're funny. No, that's exactly what I'm here for. No, I'll look into these and I'll definitely get back with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Diane.
Any other questions while I'm here?
Doing a great job.
Any other
Thank
public
you. Appreciate you.
announcements?
That's it? Okay.
Public announcements?
Good evening, Mayor, honorable bodies, citizens listening at home and in the crowd. My name is Steve Chisholm, and I am the Director of Constituent Services from State Representative Jewel Jones' office, and I'm here to announce to you tonight that a listening tour for elder abuse will be taking place on August 26, 2019, between the hours of 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. at the Booker T. Dozier Recreation Center in Inkster, Michigan. That's 2025 Middle Belt Road, Inkster, Michigan. Attorney General Dana Nessel is conducting a statewide listening tour to identify additional issues for the Michigan Elder Abuse Task Force. This event will allow citizens to share and learn about resources that can help resolve problems. And it's hosted by the Attorney General Dana Nessel, of course, Senator Betty Jean Alexander, 5th District, and State Representative Jewel Jones, 11th District. It's not just restricted to your community or the neighboring communities. It's for everyone. So please share the information. I only have one flyer with me, but I will be here after the meeting. In the event that you want a flyer, you want to share it with your neighbors, let me know. It's my fault. I'll hand deliver to the houses. The number to our office is 517-373-0849. And Ms. Tabitha Kerr, your request is moved to the top of my list to bring to the representative's attention. I'm going to give you my card and contact information after the meeting is over as well, so we make sure that you're able to burn the candle from both ends with the mayor's help, my help, the representatives. We're here in the building, so I just want to let you know.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And also, I know everyone's inquiring on budget. Budget sessions are taking place at the end of the month, and everything is resuming as all the reps and senators and everybody comes off a break. Our office is still open regardless of the break, just so you know. Thank you.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Regina Washington, and I'm a district liaison for Senator Betty Jean Alexander. There isn't any legislative updates at this present moment, but I want to make sure that you mark your calendars for the listening tour for the Elder Abuse Town Hall on Monday, August 26th. Also, if there's anyone that would need a ride, they're giving free rides to the Town Hall. The number to call is 313-561-2382. Again, number is 313-561-2382. Also, if you have any questions or concerns, you can get in contact with Senator Betty Jean at 517-373-0994. And I also will take that information as well to Senator Betty Jean and see what we can do for you, and then I'll be in contact with you. No problem. Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you. Any other public announcements?
Real quick, I want to thank the City Council, Mayor. As of August 6th, the city received our annual approval for use of CDBG funds, and we received a little over 1,700 more than we did last year. We have $1,019,000 for this year, so I want to congratulate everyone that worked on that. This is my 21st consecutive year with the Black Grant Program, so never too early to remind about the upcoming proposal and grant preparation schedule that will take place for fiscal year 2020. In early November, we release our instructions and our requests for proposals for the Black Grant Program. So it's a little early, but keep that on your calendar, and we'll have that out on the website in early November for our upcoming 2020 CDBG year. So again, thank you everyone that participated in getting that funding. Thank you.
Okay. Any further public announcements? We're done. Okay, no, I know that. I didn't forget the residents, and I do need to say something. I need to apologize for interruptions in the past that you've had when you come up to speak. I'm going to ask everybody to refrain from making any kind of comments while our residents are up here speaking. They have the freedom of speech, and our veterans fought for it. So at this point, I will ask you to please come up to the podium, state your name, and take 3 minutes or less.
Good evening. Zuhair Abdelhaq, Dearborn Heights. First, I want to share something with our resident. I want to thank Councilman Ray Muscat for what he did to put some arsonists behind bars and to save the lives and the properties of lots of citizens. We all remember the guy who burned the shopping center on Cherry Hill in Inkster. Mr. Muscat, because of his videotape in front of his house, and he noticed that the same person who burned that shopping center is the same person who passed in front of his house in the same clothes and the same shape. He contacted the police and the ATF, and he shared the information with them, which led to the arrest of the guy with the tank of gasoline and all the things which he used to burn cars and terrorize our city. And today, Mr. Muscat finished his court in Dearborn, and thank God Judge Salami was very fair and very good. And I thank you for refusing even the $1,000 reward which the police offered you for the information which led to that arrest. So thank you on behalf of myself. Second, if the cars are not going to be parked, easy solution. Take the license plates of those cars. They will not be driven anymore. The last thing, I came last time actually here, and I spoke at the end of the city council about something happened with the previous director of the building and safety. And I'm going to give you his name and his telephone number as I promised. He's willing, if you subpoena him, to come and testify to what I said. And I was hoping from our mayor, any reasonable mayor, any reasonable person would hear from a resident that there is a possibility or hint even, or perception of something going wrong, especially extortion or bribes in one of his departments. He would take me outside to ask me, please give me his name and phone number. On the contrary, our mayor threatened to sue me and called me AH. And I'm not going to call him that because I am far above his level of respect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary Mayatke, Corporation Counsel, Plainfield Street. I was asked a question about a violation of oath of office, and I think given some of the reaction here, I need to end up explaining something. The law is a two-edged sword. There was a court case in which the city council was found to have violated the city charter. I did not believe, and I would not end up saying any more than if the mayor has a legal dispute and has a legal interpretation that's inconsistent with what your interpretation is, that you all violated your oath of office by violating the charter. And I would not make such a judgment with respect to the mayor. So politics aside, the law is a two-edged sword, and I do not end up making those types of judgments about people who are affiliated with the city that I represent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment? State your name.
Hi, my name's Angela Venegas. I live on Dwight Street, and I wanted to make a complaint about our trash pickup again. It's not the first time, but my recycling bin wasn't picked up again yesterday. That's my scheduled trash pickup. When I got home from work, it was still sitting there. I did call DPW, and the lady who I spoke to, it was handled within an hour. They did pick up my recycling, so kudos to her for getting the job done. I have another complaint about some blighted houses. There's the infamous one on Corona Street. Jack, you know about it. I guess you guys are supposed to be taking it to court, or you went to court in April. It's behind my brother's house. It's terrible again. It's 10 feet tall. The grass in the backyard is horrible. It's overgrown all down the driveway. It looks awful. I just don't know what's going to be done about it. You guys keep giving them tickets, but nothing done. It just seems like it's a repeat cycle. So I don't, the complaints have been going on since 2008. I don't know why it takes that long to get something taken care of. I just don't understand it.
Well, I think we had a court order there one time and did a cleanup there.
Right. But I mean, nobody's been back there since. So it's 5 or 6 months and it's all overgrown again.
Yeah, unfortunately, even
I'm going to get up in a second, and I'm just trying not to have it disappear, so I keep tabbing it. The one that was approved tonight, same thing, 12 years. When I first came here almost 6 years ago, one of the first phone calls I got was about this house down on Courier. Went down there, I was shocked that it had been like that for so long. Started looking into the history, tickets, court orders, then things get cleaned up and then they start over again. There's several like that we have to keep up on all the time.
My question to those, why does the process take so long? How would you like to be that neighbor next door behind those people that have to look and live with rats, cats, and you go there and you could clean it up? It's not my property.
Right.
Why are we, cleaning this up? Why isn't it being taken care of sooner?
Yeah, I'll have to look at that particular address, to tell you where we're at with it now, and if you want to call me tomorrow, I'll be glad to do that.
Okay.
But unfortunately, Councilman Wenzel, I've talked to him, there's one very close to his house, same thing, over and over again. Court orders, we go in, we get it cleaned up, and then we've got to keep an eye on it. Some of those we put on 30-day checks where we check them every 30 days to make sure that the behavior is not continuing or reoccurring, and sometimes the process takes longer.
Yeah, but this has been since 2008. I mean, how long does the process take?
Well, but it did get cleaned up, and then it's continued again. So now we have to do it.
Well, you guys have issued tickets to it, so I just don't, once something becomes a problem for that many years, reoccurring and reoccurring, it should be on your list every 2 weeks to go check that property, make sure it's clean.
Yeah, I'll have to check and see what the officer, how he's got it scheduled to do that, so I definitely will follow up.
I was going to bring up, too, about Hines Park. I'm an avid bike rider. I ride that trail every day. Beach Daily is a disaster. All the way from Warren, all the way to Joy Road. Yes. Weeds are so overgrown, you can't see the curbs anymore. They finally did cut the grass. The grass was taller than me going down the bike trail. They finally cut the grass, and when they cut the grass, all the dead grass is on the sidewalk. There's littered bottles, dirty diapers, needles I've seen over there. Somebody needs to go and pick all that up. And Warren and Inkster, for the last month, has had construction site stuff sitting there. There's no construction there. There's a sign, barriers. Ford Road and Beach Daily, there's a big construction metal plate. This makes our city look terrible. And Mr. Mayor, you say you drive through the city and you look at things. I drive my bike past your house when I go to Hines Park. Your bushes are overgrown. They smack me in the head when I ride my bike. You have weeds. How can you be an example to this city and take care of a whole city when you can't take care of your own house? When your mother lived there, that house was immaculate.
No attacks.
Okay, any other public comments?
Policies.
Good evening, Council Chair. I'm going to direct this directly to you. My name is Dana Parrish, 5614 Grinley Park. This is an oldie but a goodie, I guess. 5666 Grinley Park is a city that's, is a property that's owned by the city of Dearborn Heights. It's been owned about 3 years. This is a copy of a violation that was placed on the front door of the property on July 31st, 2019 by our building. So I guess we're citing our own properties that we own now. It's a violation that was placed on the property by our building department and it says tall grass weeds to be taken care of by August 7th, 2019. They weren't cut by then. By the way, there are weeds behind the garage that are over 30 feet tall, because it went over my tape measure, which are over 25 feet. And there are approximately 40 to 50 used tires behind the property as well. I wrote a letter to the building department about a property on Hanover, 23465 Hanover. It's about a fence because there's an in-ground pool there. The property owners don't live in the city. They've rented over the years, and since 2016, there have been 10 violations on the property. 4 C of O violations, blight violations, grass and weed violations. And when I turned the violation in May about the gate not being locked when they're not home because it's an in-ground pool, and about the gate not having a self-closing mechanism. Because when you have a pool, according to state law, and I made him a copy of the state law when I wrote the email, a child or a handicapped person could go in there, slip and fall in the pool, and be dead. Well, I checked on it and checked on it. June 15th, the last time I called and spoke to the inspector, it was not the director. I spoke to the inspector, and he said, well, we don't want to harass the homeowner. It's going to get taken care of. Well, I checked BSNA, which I think is a system that our department uses, and it was closed out as completed on July the 29th, it was closed out. Folks, it's still that way, and they've rented out to another renter. And the property is still that way. There's still no lock on the gate, still no self-close rent. A lock costs $10. It would save a life. Now, if one of your first responders, one of your firefighters, or one of your police officers goes over there and has got to skim a body out of there, who's going to pay the cost to take care of that firefighter or that police officer when they got to sit there and attempt to resuscitate a body? I've been there. And yes, I yelled, Mr. Constan. Yes, because one of your firefighters, one of your police officers got to go there and pull a body out of a pool because of a $10 lock that somebody could put on there. It's a simple procedure.
Thank you.
Council Chair.
Response to.
Jack, can you look at that immediately, please?
Thank you. Okay. Name, and you have 3 minutes.
Suzanne Todd, Academy Street. It was on the claims, and I understand I can't talk about the claims, but I think I can do it now. As one of those senior citizens on a fixed income, not being able to water my lawn, I saw this as one of the claims. $2,200 taken out of the water fund for confined space entry training held at customer's location in Dearborn Heights, Michigan. That means that we pay $2,200 for someone to come in to the DPW yard and train people to park the street sweepers in a confined area. Well, my comment on that is perhaps it wouldn't be so confined if certain people in this city were not allowed to park the recreational vehicles there. $2,200 out of the water fund to pay for training for someone to learn how to park? Sorry.
Can I comment on that, please?
Actually, can I comment on that?
Let's the records.
Space is to get inside the
So
vehicle,
the
correct?
confined space training, ma'am, that you're speaking of, you're totally off base. The confined space training is for entries into manholes, to gate wells, with gas monitors, harnesses. It's for the safety of the employees. It has nothing to do with parking vehicles. It is a requirement by the state that all employees be trained to enter confined spaces. That has nothing to do with parking vehicles. You couldn't be farther from the truth.
That has nothing to do with I should have printed out the thing before it. That's not what it said.
We have a certified trainer that is certified by the state of Michigan to come to our facility and train our employees. All our water and sewer employees were trained on a Friday for 8 hours to become certified to enter a confined
Have
space.
they not been certified before? Does this have to happen every once in a while?
To the best of my knowledge, they were not certified, and these are one of the things that I'm cleaning up as we go forward to get people certified so that they work safely and smarter.
Then I apologize, my mistake.
Thank you.
And I think I'm glad that you are doing it then, because obviously this has been a safety issue that has been ignored. I'm
only going forward, I can't speak to what happened behind me.
Yeah, okay, but I can. And I will. I made a mistake. The other thing is, that has me bothered is the fact that those houses that were torn down that had the asbestos that was flying around in the air. Now, I heard that there was a report made by the police department, and I also heard that the Department of Environmental Quality, the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, came out and investigated it. Now, I would like to know where these reports are. Anybody have any ideas?
I don't.
Chief, do you have the report?
No, it's nothing we report on. The email I forwarded to Councilman and to the mayor detailed everything that was done. Nothing was done by the city of Dearborn Heights. It's between the DEQ, the DNR investigators, and the contractor itself. Nothing revolves around the city, and reports don't come back to the
So
city.
the police never went out there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so there's no report by the police?
There are no reports, and I forwarded that information to Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton earlier today.
Okay, and now, was there any, does anyone have any answer?
So,
Obviously.
Well, the answer lies with the state of Michigan and the...
If I may.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Todd, because I'm following up on that, and we've, been communicating. I received a call back from one of the people that does the inspections with MDQ. I need to secure some more information so she can lock it down and get the reports to us.
Okay.
So I am working on that.
Good. Now,
And I'll keep everyone informed.
shouldn't those reports have been on file here in the city?
I couldn't answer that. You get I imagine it's with the state.
Yeah, the state.
Because it's, yeah.
It'll be with the state.
And then through the contractor.
Councilman Wenzel?
Is that?
I have with me right here a worksheet, it's 11 pages from the Southwest Michigan Buildings Authority. It's a step-by-step process for demolishing buildings. And this is a form that should be followed for all demolitions projects. It goes step by step, what you have to do, a checklist, and this is used by all the cities, and I was wondering if the city of Dearborn Heights used this form here. Can anybody answer that question?
I'd have to look at it to see. I'm not familiar with an 11-page form.
Yeah, and well, if not, this is something that all the cities use, and it's got a checklist of everything, the procedures, how you follow it, the DNR, everybody goes through this, do the checklist, and the council passed payment to that company for demolishing those buildings. The mayor should have vetoed our decision to pay them, because this form, I believe, unless someone can show it to me, this whole procedure, I'll give it to you, anybody who wants it, was not filled out to the best of my knowledge, and that our council decision should have been vetoed by the mayor because of the lack of this information right here. This is it's a form. I'll give it to you, Jack, and I'll give it to you after the meeting.
I'll definitely look at it.
I think the people on that street really need some clarification, because they were exposed to asbestos in the air, which is probably the worst kind.
Thank you.
And
Any further comment? Name in 3 minutes.
Okay. My name is Judy Lundy, and I live at 4630 Roosevelt. That's on the south side of Dearborn, very close to Van Born. I would like to know, I understand that there was a agreement with Dearborn Heights and the next city over, I can't. Taylor, to do something about that corridor. To me, and I've been there 20 years, and anybody is welcome to come by my home, 4630 Roosevelt. It's one of the prettiest places on the block, not because it's a big home, but because it's well taken care of. Now, I want to tell you that I have been a teacher in Detroit for 30 years, and I've been retired for the last 8. I've lived there 20 years on Roosevelt. I have not seen an improvement on Van Born, and I'd like to know when Taylor and our city are going to get together and do something. And I have one other question. There is a Chinese massage parlor on Van Born. I'd like to know who okayed that. I mean, why does our side of the city get the crappy places?
Low rent.
Yeah, I don't care what it is. You guys approve things. How did that get approved?
We don't approve
We didn't approve that.
Yeah, there's only certain things we approve in that type of business. We don't, it doesn't have to come to our approval.
I don't even think we've ever had a business license come before us for that.
Anyway,
And if it doesn't have the business license, somebody needs to go out there and do some padlocking.
Well, you know, as a woman, I don't really care to walk into the place. I know that most of the men park their vehicles behind the place rather than in the parking lot. Anyway, I would like to see some things done on that. 20 years, you would think that Van Born would have improved, and especially now since Taylor and our city are working together, and I see nothing. So I'd like to know when it's going to get done. Mayor, maybe you can answer that.
The only thing I've seen about Taylor is the money we paid out for studies. That's the only thing I've seen, to be honest with you.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, are we going to get, is there an update? The question, or no, we're not?
No. Let's move on.
I'd be curious.
No, that's another day.
All right.
Go ahead, please.
All right, then.
Mike Blackburn, President of the Dearborn Heights DPW Supervisors Association. And this is going to Councilman Bazey that I've heard about a half dozen times already throughout the last few years. You're talking about a safe vehicle in Livonia. Some of our supervisors do live outside the city. When we are on call, we do get to take our safe vehicles home because we do get calls in the middle of the night. So if a resident does see a safe vehicle in Livonia or another city, and they come to you about it, you should go to the DPW director, because if a supervisor is not following the rules, the director will...
Yeah, it wasn't your department. We know who it was. It was not you.
It was not a
anybody in your
DPW
department.
vehicle. I never said it was a DPD.
Well, there is a
Trying not
supervisor
to
that
name the
lives in
exact
Livonia
individual.
and working overtime. He does come 7, 8
it was
Not him
o'clock
at
at
all.
night.
not your department vehicle.
DPW.
I never said it was.
No,
I know you didn't.
You're good.
You don't mention which departments. That's why I'm up here speaking on behalf of the supervisor in case it was him you were talking about.
No.
It was not you guys.
Okay,
So
thank you.
you're good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm actually going to read something. You know, for those of you on Facebook, you get every once in a while things pop up from a post that you might have made a year ago or 2 years ago. And after I'm done reading this, I'll tell you the significance of why I thought it was important to read this tonight, because something else happened on the day in this current year, ironically, 2 years later. So I wrote this post one day because I was seeing a lot of negativity on the community page particularly. And I thought there's so many things we don't ever celebrate in this city, and I thought it was important this day to share those things. So if you can just bear with me for just a minute, I'll try to go through this. It's titled Dearborn Heights. Our police and fire are protecting and keeping us safe 24/7. Their record of service is outstanding and uncomparable. Our Ordinance and Animal Control Department has open Monday through Friday. We do work Fridays. And we have officers available nights and weekends to respond to ordinance issues and animal emergencies. I had just posted that we had just hosted the Michigan Humane Society, where over 460 dogs and cats were vaccinated and could get microchips for a very, very low cost. 2 years later, we're still doing that. We're still hosting that clinic. We have 2 libraries, one in the south end, of course, and one in the north end, that offer activities and programs for all ages, but with a commitment to providing a quiet, friendly place for children in our community to relax and learn. We have 2 senior centers, one in the south end, one in the north end, that offer a place for seniors to socialize, exercise, and if needed, get a warm meal. Our Parks and Recreation Department has programs in several locations to support families spending healthy, quality time together. Our streets are free from snow usually within 48 hours after a major snowfall. We recently added the blue cans, so you know it's been a while. We recently added the blue cans for trash pickup to keep areas cleaner and to detract rodents from harboring around our properties. We have some of the best school districts in the state. We have the lowest taxes, one of the lowest taxes of at least 28 of the most local communities within the Detroit area. A lot of people don't know that. With the direction of our administration and the commitment of our residents, we were able to avoid receivership many years ago and maintain an outstanding, and at the same time maintaining outstanding city services, while we watched several other local communities around us that were taken over by the state during that recent recession. We have neighbors helping neighbors daily, organizing neighborhood associations and neighborhood watch groups. People joining their neighbors to be part of the solution and not part of just complaining about the problems. I've lived in this city for 51 years. It's now 53. So I've raised my kids in this community, and now I have children that are raising their children in this community, similar to Grandma Suzanne. And I remain committed to be a part of the solution, but not by being negative. All of the slams, all the negative comments, and the insults are just a distraction from what all of us should be doing to continue finishing what we've all set forward to do and to attempt to get done, and least of all, to encourage us all to work together. I then said hashtag negativity is draining, hashtag be positive, hashtag it takes a village. I get a lot of comments about that, it takes a village, because people think that applies to kids, but really it applies to all of us and how we work together. I make mistakes, I really do, but I'm really asking for a favor tonight, and I'll tell you why in a second. And Elizabeth's going to make fun of me tomorrow because you can hear my voice, it's emotional for me. If you have a problem with anything that I'm doing in my department or in the building department that I've temporarily been assigned to look over, please call me directly. It feels lately like these meetings are a place to make us look bad and to make us feel bad about ourselves. That's not me. And I don't want to get sucked into this. It's not me, it's not my kids, it's not my parents. None of us act like this. And when I come here, it feels very toxic, and I know you all feel it too. I know you don't want it to be like this. I think there's a better way that we can get through this. Now, let me tell you why I decided that I wanted to talk about it. The same day that this posted in my Captain Petrie's going to say something most. He's going to make fun of me the most. I had someone call me on the phone, and someone that several of you talk to on a regular basis. In fact, jokingly, she said to me that she reports to some of you directly, and that's good. That's good that she has that relationship with you. But someone made a threat against me with a gun. They want to kill me. We've made light of it. We've talked about it amongst ourselves. But it's serious. And I have to tell you, I wonder why someone would feel that me enforcing an ordinance on their property, an ordinance that many of you would want me to enforce, why that's so horrible that this person would make a statement that they want to kill me. And I have to say, one thing that I used to tell my kids a lot is when they go out and I always used to tell them when they'd leave the house, and I have 4 of them, and I'd say, when you leave, you're representing me. The things you say have a direct impact on other people in their lives. So I'm not just saying this to you, please don't take it that way. I'm saying it to all of us in this room. We have to be very careful about the things that we say, because you guys and us and the mayor and the council and some of the people in this room, you don't realize how important your role is. I don't think you do. I don't know if you realize that people really pay attention to your words. And some of those people take those words out of context, and they take them and they decide that they're going to make a statement like, I'm going to kill the ordinance director. So please, I've asked this before, call me. If you have an issue with something that's going on, please don't wait to come here, because I am then a target.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Jack, you do a great job for the city. A great job.
Okay, is there any further comment this time. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Do I hear it second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion,
No, this.
meeting adjourned.